Our report was well-founded, ahead of the curve, and right on the money in more ways than one. Our report teed up the facts, but the mainstream press never stepped up to the plate. Some of the nation's supposedly leading press outlets, with teams of investigative reporters, were scooped by the Congress, the Johnson-Grassley report. Now, of course, they're scrambling to chase the story that they for so long ignored. Now, it didn't have to be this way. We already did much of the hefty lifting before issuing our report. The report made public information that hadn't ever been known before. For example, it showed the following: Hunter Biden and his associates and family members were connected to Chinese nationals and Chinese companies linked with the Communist Party and the People's Liberation Army. This includes the CEFC China Energy Company Limited and also that company's subsidiaries. Records show that a company linked to the communist regime sent Hunter Biden law firm millions of dollars. Other records show that Hunter Biden opened a line of credit with a Chinese national linked to the communist regime and funded it with approximately $100,000. And then he, James Biden, and Sarah Biden went on an extravagant global spending spree. Still, other records show that Hunter Biden, via his law firm, also sent $1 million to James Biden's consulting firm, the Lion Hall Group. These transfers began less than 1 week after CEFC sent $5 million to a company called Hudson West III, a company linked to CEFC and Chinese nationalists associated with the communist regime, which then sent money to Hunter Biden's law firm. When the bank contacted Sarah Biden, who was associated with the firm's bank account, she refused to answer their questions and provide any additional documentation. According to the records that we have on file, the bank submitted the account for closure. Senator Johnson and I recently issued a supplemental to our report that showed Hunter Biden's close business associate, Rob Walker, received $6 million from a Chinese company linked to the communist regime. Then there's yet another link in the chain from the Biden family and their associates to the Chinese government. The report also showed that State Department officials believed that Hunter Biden's Burisma board membership created a perception of a conflict of interest and, quote, was very awkward for U.S. officials pushing an anti-corruption agenda in Ukraine, end of quote from a State Department official. Secretary of State Kerry publicly denied knowing Hunter Biden's role on the Burisma board. We acquired evidence that shows that Kerry did, in fact, know about that role. On December 2015, instead of following U.S. objectives of confronting oligarchs, Vice President Biden's staff advised him to avoid commenting on Burisma's oligarch and instead say, quote, I'm not going to get into naming names or accusing individuals, end of quote. Joe Biden was running an anti-corruption agenda in Ukraine but he pulled his punches while his son was on the board of Burisma. Based on witness testimony, Burisma's owner allegedly paid a $7 million bribe to officials serving under Ukraine's prosecutor general to shut the case against him. When he allegedly paid that bribe, Hunter Biden was on the Burisma board. These examples are just a sampling from the report that Senator Johnson and I put out, and just the tip of an iceberg with respect to the Biden family's troubled ties to governments adverse to U.S. interest. These associations and the millions of dollars that pass between and among Hunter Biden, James Biden, and others create criminal, financial, and counterintelligence and extortion concerns. That's why I've written to the Justice Department about the risks that Hunter and James Biden essentially served as agents of the communist government for purposes of their registering under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. After Hunter Biden publicly confirmed he was under criminal investigation, liberal news outlets reported on concerns that his financial associations could create criminal, financial, and counterintelligence problems, something you heard from the Johnson-Grassley report several weeks ago. That's why we said in September 2020, and we were roundly criticized for it. And just over the weekend, a new email was made public that reportedly says that Joe Biden and his brother were, quote unquote, office mates with the very same Chinese nationals that we wrote about in our report. Those same individuals were the ones with links to the communist regime and that regime's military. Based on all the facts known to date, Joe Biden has a lot of explaining to do. I've run many oversight operations and investigations during the course of my career. I'm interested in the facts, in evidence, and in the truth. I learned a lesson a long time ago when I first started my oversight focus. That is, no matter how difficult the media or the other side of the aisle makes it to find the facts, never give up, keep working hard. The American taxpayers deserve nothing less. That's the attitude and approach that I've had my entire career. And it's what I will take with me as I continue to look into the Biden family matters and as I move to a leadership position on the Senate Judiciary Committee. I yield the floor.